and bring in a legal expert to discuss this matter.
Yeah, joining us now, former Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker. Sir, welcome back to the program. I am beside myself by what happened. We got the news. I'm searching. I am genuinely hoping that they had some actual justification, because if they didn't, what does this mean for our legal system, the FBI, and then what can Trump do to come back at this?
Yeah, ultimately, the American people are going to be the judge of the justification. But I can tell you, even without seeing the search warrant or the affidavit that's attached to it, that this is a dramatic and unnecessary overreach. This is, all reports are that it's based on the, Presidential Records Act, that, this is an issue the archives has with what documents the president retained after he left the presidency. And this clearly could have either been negotiated or a subpoena could have been issued at most that obtain these records. The fact that they took FBI agents, and this wasn't the first time they had been to Mar-a-Lago. My understanding is they had been there in February and poked around, on invitation of the Trump organization. And so this is, I think, a unnecessary and dramatic escalation. It was done for one purpose, and that was to cause a doubt and, put the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, under the imprimatur of an investigation to try to weaken him before he announces for 2024.
Yeah, talk to us about these classified documents that he took from the White House, which he had the ability to do, that he can then, as former president, determine that they are unclassified. So can you just walk us through what this means?
Yeah, well, what it means is obviously, classified documents are controlled, and there's certain people that can or can't have access to them. There's certain things that you need to do in order to, maintain control and the secrecy of those. As president, he could have declassified anything. As a former president, it's after he leaves office, it is locked in, and he doesn't have any power to declassify it. But that being said, he certainly maintains a security clearance and an ability to not only possess those documents, but to review them. This is a situation where obviously we know very few of the actual facts, right, and we know very little about what documents or artifacts we're talking about. So there's been mention of at least one of his letters from Kim Jong-un, the North Korean dictator, that may be a question. But ultimately, there were other ways for the National Archives to obtain these documents or to resolve this dispute, short of sending 30 FBI agents to execute a search warrant.
Well, let's talk about recourse here, because everybody's wondering this morning, they haven't produced. Darn well, if this was a rock solid warrant, this would have hit the media. It would have been leaked, just like they leaked over to CNN when they were about to raid Roger Stone's house. This would have been leaked. So my assumption, is that this is some cattywampus afoot here, to say the least. What is his recourse should this be proven to be, or even overthrown by another judge, or if it's proven to be completely bogus?
Yeah, well, there's, unfortunately, law enforcement in the United States is given a lot of discretion. In this case, if there's an abuse of power, there's recourses, in the Civil Rights Act and others. But, ultimately, I think this is more going to be tried in the case of public opinion and in the court of public opinion, because, what the FBI did here is a dramatic step, as I mentioned earlier, and I just don't know if there's justification for sending in the FBI in this show of force to take these documents or artifacts back. I just think ultimately the FBI continues to be politicized. You look at the situation with the whistleblowers and Chuck Grassley and Jim Jordan that are saying the FBI is politicized. I don't know how you don't put this in that context and say, they chose the most public and embarrassing way to do a very basic law enforcement activity.
Absolutely right. Matthew Whitaker, thank you so much. We appreciate it, sir.
Good to see you.
Same. And now let's